Hello and welcome. We are, I believe, live. We're going to check this out real quick. If Nina will switch screens to the Chrome or Safari side so we can see if we actually have comments going live. We'll see. Making sure everybody can actually hear us. All right. We've got Ernie DeVletter, Audrey, Matthew, Bob, Bruce, and Scud Surfer. Mitch Briggs, hey, from Grand Rapids. Hey to you, my friend. Glad to have you here. This is your third episode ever of the Ask Aviator podcast, which has yet, I believe, to be released as a podcast. But it still kind of counts. It's a live stream. It's fun. It's all part of the journey. I've got kind of an interesting plan for tonight's live stream. This is I don't want to call it cobbled together because John's been working really hard at it, but it's kind of cobbled together because I wasn't sure if I was going to be home until about noon today. I flew to Georgia yesterday in the new airplane to have a business meeting with two of our board members, and there was supposed to be big weather, which luckily there wasn't big weather. It was so glad there wasn't. Gorgeous. It was windy, but it was gorgeous. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to fly back home. And then I got to 11,500 feet at 200 miles an hour, and I got here in an hour and a half. And I was like, all right, it's time for a nap.
No big deal. Just
fly.
Just fly at 200 miles an hour. It's fine.
This is what you need. This is the part of the thing. I actually was talking to Chris before the live stream. Chris being our school manager and also now my partner in one of my airplanes. I said, listen, I want every employee of Aviator to get their pilot's license, to fly airplanes, to fly butt fans, to fly if you can find a way to make an airboat fly, you got to fly it if you work here. That's the mission, because we used to have we actually still need to make the T-shirt. It was like hashtag fly all the things, whether it was drones or airplanes or paramotors, and
Did
so.
Manny come up with that?
No, I think I did. I don't remember. I don't want to take credit if it wasn't me. But
Team effort.
Yeah, team effort. Welcome to the live stream, guys. I know that people are still coming in. I can't see the chat right now, but super stoked to have you guys all here. I've got Kate with me.
Hello.
In my head, she's still 7 years old. She's still Catherine, but now it's just Kate. It's true. Catherine is one of our team here in the war room, where you work with Alex every day, shipping out parts and inventorying everything, and it's been
a real fun time.
Well, it's actually a good thing. It's really fun to be able to see all the stuff build out. Alex is behind the camera dying right now. We'll bring him in later. But one of the things we want to talk about, we're going to ask a couple questions of Kate, and then we're going to swivel, and I'm going to bring Chris in, and we're going to talk about wings, because it's been on our list of content to make for probably 2 years. About what wing to choose and why. And Chris teaches a phenomenal wing design class and aerodynamics class explaining how the gliders are designed, what to look for in a glider, what you want to do as far as safety goes, as everything else. And he really does a good job. So we want to talk more about why we choose what glider for which student.
So in other words, he knows all the things.
He knows all the things.
He knows all the things.
He's a freaking rocket scientist. Of course he knows all the
Quite
things.
Literally.
Big shout out, guys, to Jim Furman, to Fat Paramotor Guy, Knobby Knees. Yes, I have the knobby knees, the knobbiest of knobby knees. Jim Furman, good to see you. Todd Scandrette, I am praying for your wife. I hope she's well. I appreciate you watching, my friend. I'm sad that you're not flying right now, but it's okay. The world can only use so much Tide Pod wings. So. Wesley Gaster, you guys doing anything in the Oklahoma area? Actually, Wes, good to see you, dude. God, Jimmy, it's been forever. I'll be in Kansas late May. Nothing in Oklahoma right now. We'd love to eventually, but nothing right now. David, welcome from Maine. Let's see. So let's jump into a couple questions that the world at large had for you as a new paramotor pilot. You had your first flight a week ago?
A little more than that.
Last Saturday.
About a week and a half.
Yeah, last Saturday, right?
I guess so.
Saturday and a half ago? I don't know. How many flights do you have now?
8 flights.
8 flights.
And counting.
She's counting. This is good. I've lost count.
I have a log. It's covered in pineapples.
Before we talk about what your favorite flight was and what really inspired you to do this, because obviously it's a perk of working here, but it wasn't like it was a lifelong passion to learn to fly. It's kind of something you fell into. What was one of the biggest challenges that you had to overcome as a female pilot, as a pilot in general, as a human being? What was one of the biggest challenges for you, and how was it felt?
Starting with question number 1, before flying or just in general?
In general, I mean, for me, I always look at it in the same way, and it's important because the reality is that when you fly, it changes who you are as a person, right? It changes the dynamics of how you look at the world. I had this conversation with one of the guys on the board, John, who will be on this show eventually. He's one of our attorneys. He's our lead counsel. He's an amazing guy, one of my most talented friends. And he looks at paramotoring as being the one thing that keeps kicking his butt and making him have to rethink everything every time. And it's really been neat because he hasn't let it stop him. You know, between physical challenges, mental challenges, broken propellers, bad weather, gust fronts, everything that can go wrong has gone wrong to John in the last year and a half. But the mental toughness that comes out of flying has been really cool for him. So what is one of the things that you've had to overcome? I can think of one offhand.
Oh boy.
With lean angle.
Okay, you know what?
She makes a pretty good hovercraft. Let's just put it that way. But what have you liked about it? What's been your challenge?
Biggest challenge yet has been learning to not attempt to control the wing just in kiting. I have a huge issue with wanting to control everything I'm doing, and learning to dance with the wing has been a challenge, but I'm getting better.
That's
Chris
funny because normally, like our female students don't struggle with that nearly as much. Are you saying you're a man?
At heart, yes. No comment, otherwise.
You looked good, though. Like, you've done a really good job. All
Thank
your
you.
kiting's been really controlled. You've had a great team around you helping you.
Oh, yeah.
Not me.
All credit due to my instructors. No, you've helped a little bit.
Un poquito.
Not so much with the kiting, but you definitely have.
It's been so
you've
fun to
helped.
watch you fly. I'll never
It's
forget
been so fun to fly. It's
your
been
dad's
awesome.
face, your first flight. He's
That was
like,
amazing.
she did it.
She's alive.
She's alive. Have you gone into cross country yet?
No, not yet.
Where do you want to go first?
Where do I begin? Wherever you want to take me. I don't want to go by myself for sure. So wherever you're wanting to lead, I'll follow. I don't have a preference. I was gonna say something. I don't remember what it was.
I have faith in you.
I don't. I don't have faith. No, I'm
Do
just
you have a
kidding.
favorite flight so far?
My last flight, for one, I made Deadpool fly, so that was pretty sweet.
That is pretty cool. In fact, I put an email this week to our dealers.
I saw that.
I was introducing all of the
saw
new
that.
employees to the dealers.
Frequently seen in a Deadpool.
Yeah, she wears this Deadpool onesie all over the place. It's like it's not that cold, girl. Like
But it's
really.
Deadpool. You gotta rock Deadpool.
You do.
My last flight was probably my favorite, partially because of Deadpool, because he makes everything better. Other than that, I definitely felt a little bit more relaxed, and it was really nice to be able to feel like I didn't have to remember everything at once. I found myself not necessarily creating habits, but remembering what I was supposed to do without having to consciously think about what I had to do.
As things become more natural,
Which
it
is-
becomes so much more fluid and so much more powerful.
Right.
I think that's that's one of those things where experience, there's no replacement for it.
Yeah.
You know, you can get the most
It's a language
talented,
of
like
experience.
naturally talented paramotor pilot. Like I tell everybody, like, when we taught the flight test guys, we taught Tucker, all these different people that we trained that are super naturally good pilots. They still have to get the experience. There's no replacing the experience, which is a
Right.
weird thing. But well, cool.
So that was really fun. I really enjoyed that. I didn't notice it until after I landed too, and I was like, oh, I didn't even have to think about doing that, and I did it. So. it's kind of a
Well, and
proud
your
moment.
landings are getting better and better too, which is fun.
Don't jinx it.
We'll have more videos and photos up, guys. If you want to find out more about Catherine or Just Kate's journey on Instagram and Just Kate on Facebook.
Yes,
Right?
that's correct.
Check her out. Videos coming soon. She has shared this deep passion for inspiring other women to realize they too can do this, whether they're flying foot launch or trike or whatever. It's a really good opportunity, I think, and I think it's really neat for us because you're here full time, and
So conveniently so.
yes, and you get to actually share all of this stuff. So we'll continue on. I want to go through a few questions from the audience, and we'll bring Chris in. Because one of the biggest questions we've received this week via email, which, guys, you're always welcome. Email info@aviatorppg.com. Send us your questions. Say Livestream in the subject line. My incredible team will go through things. Nina will put them in an email to me or a post and be like, hey, you have to do this, this, and this. A lot of people are talking about the potential of the bad apples flying. And before I dive into this, I want to talk a little bit about what we want this live stream to be and what we don't want it to be. The last two episodes, the first episode was Travis and I. The next episode was Chris and I, because we wanted to introduce what was happening with Travis and answer questions. I wanted to introduce Chris to the world so people could see how much better he is at life than me. And then now this podcast, we don't really have like a set guest. We're just going to kind of rotate people in and out. what we really want, what's really important to us, is we don't ever want this to be an Aviator PPG commercial. Right? We want this to be an opportunity for the entire community to come together, for us to be able to answer some questions about stuff that we may have more knowledge and experience than Joe Blow about, for us to be able to answer questions that you may or may not have answered by your instructor or by your flying family, to answer questions about new equipment, new gear that's coming out, to tease some stuff that we don't otherwise talk about because this is less professional. We're not like
A little bit
making
more
it
casual.
yeah. Very laid back, and so we want to be really wise about that, but we want to make sure that you guys understand this show is only for you. If we made this a commercial for Aviator every week, like, hey, we're Aviator, we have expensive helmets, you should buy them. You guys
That was
wouldn't
perfect,
stick
by the
around.
way.
Well, no, you shouldn't buy them. The guy behind you on your left, he might want the helmet, but it's really, really ridiculously expensive, and
On your left,
I don't
I'm sure.
recommend it. Actually, I do recommend the helmet. The helmet's freaking
was
awesome. I
about to
wore
say.
it this morning in Georgia, and I had a great flight, and the music was pounding, and the aviation radio was perfect, and everything worked, and that made it great, but it's not for everybody. So we don't want to make it a commercial. We want to make this an honest conversation with you guys, to answer your questions in the live chat, to have you guys email us stuff. We want to bring in some really cool people. Next week on the Ask Aviator podcast, episode 4, we're going to have some of the members of the Paradigm Aerobatic team on. We actually will be in the middle of our Sun and Fun air show. So Sun and Fun is the second largest air show in the U.S. We have 250,000 people, around 6,000 airplanes show up.
I'm so excited.
We'll be there. Our goal is to live stream from there if possible. We're not sure if it will work out, if we'll have to come back here. The cell phone signal there is atrocious because
just kidding. I can't go. Sorry.
she might be addicted to her phone. We might have had to
No,
move
no,
it
no.
to the other side of the room.
It's not too bad.
It's
no,
possible.
They did actually.
Freaking
they took it
millennials.
from me. I lost my.
Are you even a millennial?
No, I was about to say.
You're too
I'm
young to
not.
be a millennial.
I'm not.
You were born in
I
the year
dodged
2000,
that
right?
terrible bullet. Yes, I'm an alien.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
So, guys, we want to make this about you guys. Let us know what you want us to
Gen
talk
Z.
about. Stay in contact with us. Realize that we really want to be able to have the opportunity to discuss stuff. So, I want to answer a few more questions. Parker says he just put together a Fly Products machine this afternoon. Parker, email me. I'll send you the dealer email. I apologize it didn't go to you. I sent it to Ron. This Fly Products trike behind us has a really cool story. So, Fly Products makes insane trikes, and they have one called the Luna. Now, the Luna it costs more than my car. Okay, it's not cheap. It's got a 65 horsepower motor. It's a beast, right? It's a freaking beast. But you can tow it behind your car. It's 2-place. It's designed to be the ultimate 2-place trike. And the problem is, in the U.S., it's too heavy to be an ultralight, so you actually have to register it as an aircraft. You have to get your pilot's license, your power parachute rating. You have to do all this stuff to be able to fly it. So we don't have Lunas. What we do have is the Eco 2 Lite, which is the one behind us here, and it's got a 50 horsepower motor, a 45 horsepower motor, Rotax 503 basically, built by RMZ. Super cool. And this one's going to Montana I don't want to give away his secret too much, but the background is that this guy called me back in December, January. He called me and said, listen, I want to buy a Luna. I was like, listen, you can buy one, but you're not going to be able to use it. And I said, why the heck do you want a Luna? Like, you're not a tandem pilot. Like, why do you want one? And he goes, well, I'm an elk hunter. And I bow hunt elk. And I want to go and I want to fly across Montana and get in areas that no one else can get to, cross all these caverns and canyons and things. And I'm going to land a trike, and I'm going to go bivouac for a few days and stalk these giant trophy elk. And then I want to kill them, quarter them, and fly them out. And I was like, you need a big trike, dude. Like, seriously. So he has this giant trike that he's now an incredible pilot of. He came into our trike training in January, and he's going to use it as an exploration device, which I've always said that the Paramotor is the ultimate all-terrain vehicle, and this one is pretty exceptional. So somebody asked if the thing on top was a reserve parachute. No, it's not. It's actually a dashboard. It has all the different gauges for temperature. It has a cockpit. It's got a cockpit. It's amazing. Yes. Behind the engine, below the engine, has a ballistic parachute. So you pull it, and a rocket fires out and pulls the reserve parachute out. So it does have a reserve. It is massive, and it will bring the whole thing down just like a Cirrus airplane. By the way, for those of you guys who don't know, Cirrus airplanes have a pull cord that fires a giant parachute out of it. And the joke that I consistently go back to, it's one of 4 jokes I know. I told people last night that I only do 3 jokes. I actually know 4. One of those jokes is
Liar.
that, do you know what you call a cirrus fly-in?
Do I want to know?
It's called a drop zone. She doesn't get it. Somebody will. Todd will, or somebody will. Some people asked about how soon for Parajet trike. The Falco trike's available now. If you want to buy a Falco, they're amazing. If you're interested in getting the light trike for the Maverick, that will be available soon. We're still working on the details. It's just a lot of back and forth between 3 different countries, but that will be coming soon. There were a few other questions up there. Trike demos at Son of Fun. Yes, Jim, we're bringing some trikes for sure, dude. That's definitely going to happen. I'm going to see if there are any other questions that I should read. There's so many.
So, not to jump back to me being a Gen Z, but I totally just realized I get to claim the only title of being Gen Z here at Aviator.
It's true. It's true. And right now, Chris gets to be the oldest, which is fantastic.
Nice.
A couple
Well,
of things
thanks.
really quick. So people are asking about the Bad Apples Fly-In coming up in May. I believe it's May 18th. Sadly, some of our core team won't be able to be there. We're already committed to an event in Arizona with some people we're working with later in April. Really cool projects, like ridiculously cool stuff. Some adventure videos and stuff are going to come out of it that'll be really cool. So I hope to be able to send some people to the Bad Apples Fly-In. It really depends on who's available. Hopefully Travis and Kyle will go up there. We're not sure yet. We are sponsoring the event, as we always do. We try to support them because anytime someone puts on a paramotor event that we can be a part of, we want to support it. Scud Surfer asked a very deep question about my accident, which is 5 years, 3 months, and
22 minutes ago.
not quite. It was almost 3 months ago. So 5 years and 2 months and 10 days, or 15 days. He asked if it was pilot error or not. That's a tough one.
I'll say, can there really be a pilot error with Eric?
Oh, no, 100% there can be. If you read my blog post, if you guys want to go back in time, it's not currently on the website. It will be soon. We're repropagating all the stuff to the new website. In fact, by the way, guys, we have a new website. We have a newsletter that you can sign up for that's going to be mailing out hopefully tomorrow or the next day. Really cool stuff. Our store is now completely filled. We have a whole bunch more products going up on it right now, but we have everything in inventory. You can go online right now and you could buy a head gasket for an Air Conception 130 or a Parajet, a Vitarazi Moster, and you'll know if we have it in stock. You'll know when it's going to ship. You'll get immediate tracking information. We've been putting a ton of time and money into really investing in this, and I have to give a huge thank you to everyone on my team that's in this room right now, except for this one because she didn't come.
I actually just did a lot of inventory today.
Yeah, during business hours.
See, Alex.
Because these guys came in on Sunday.
I was here for Friday night.
I'm just giving you crap. I just have to say, seriously, huge thank you to everybody, including Kate, because she was here Friday night. And these guys put in so many hours over the weekend trying to just identify all the products we have. Because when you look into a room that has, 1,500 SKUs, all different things, they all look very similar. And we have a great team here, but not all of them know every little thing. Like, you've been here for a month. You don't know everything that we sell.
Know.
You're learning quickly. Yeah. So huge
excited.
shout out to everybody. The website's up, the store is up, the parts are out there, and please, anytime you order something, put in the notes that you really wish that Kate had been there for the inventory. That'd be great. Just kidding.
Thanks. I would really appreciate that. Just a little more guilt on my
So
part.
to
That's
jump
okay.
back
It's fine,
to
everything's fine.
to jump back to the accident, the first thing I want to say is that there's a blog post I wrote 5 years ago that talks about what happened. Was it my fault? Yes. 100%. It was my fault. I was flying a really sporty wing that I don't feel like I was ready for. My mentors at the time, flying wise, had told me I was ready for it. I was flying a motor that did not have well-designed geometry and had some issues. Between those two things, a really small wing, really sporty, and a frame that the bolt broke, and all of a sudden I had 18 inches of weight shift because I didn't have a restraining strap that was proper. It was my fault. I made the decision to fly it. I made the decision to make a spiral dive. I made all those decisions that put me in that position. Was it all pilot error? I don't know, but I take full responsibility. And I think that the biggest learning lesson I've had is that there's so much to learn and so much that we can do to keep ourselves safe, because the sport really is as safe as we make it. And I put myself in that position where I wasn't as safe as I could be. I wasn't as safe as I should be. And so we are always trying to encourage our students to recognize when things get easy. 2 years ago, October 5th, I was flying with Kyle, and we were practicing for a paradigm thing. We had this really cool idea where we went up, and the two of us made a donut in the sky with smoke. And he crossed one way, I crossed the other way, and he'd sort of sat, and I'd do a deep spiral, and I'd freaking rip the spiral around him, and it looked like a candy cane in the sky. It was the coolest thing to see from the ground. But I did this flight 150 times. Every morning we go fly and train before we taught, and I didn't have a reserve because I got a brand new motor, and I was super confident, and I was like, dude, we're totally cool. We're in a position where everything's safe. We're doing the same thing every day, and it should have been fine, and it wasn't. I crossed his wake early. My trims were all the way out on my Viper 4, which is an expert level website. I read the word website. Expert level wing, and I ended up having 4 cascading full collapses. Got it reopened. Big cravat. Scared the pants off myself, and what it taught me was that when things get easy and you feel confident, that's when you have to make the decision to take a huge step back. Because when you get to the point where things are really natural and easy and totally doable, you don't want to be pushing it. You don't want to be doing what's easy.
Err on the side of caution.
Yeah, and you really want to enable yourself to recognize that you're about to make a mistake because things got too easy. Things got too natural, and natural's good. We want every student to leave here feeling like a natural pilot, but you have to have that logical construct in your head of what makes sense. I had a conversation this morning, and I won't betray names, but some of our students from last year, 2 of them really good friends, they're flying, and their first flight back after training, they got a bunch of flights, both really fit, sharp dudes, and they go to an airport local to them, and they set up, and they said they felt safe because they're flying from an airport. Aviators at an airport, they got all their flights at an airport, they felt safe. And they took off, and mind you, sorry, by the way, I'm repeating your story. They took off. They had this realization, like, okay, the wind's coming from here, and from here, and from here, and from here. Let's just wait till it comes back from here again, right? Like this is their logic. We're gonna be safe. We're gonna take the safe choice and go when the wind's the right direction, and that's great in theory, except that they're surrounded by trees.
Oh, jeez.
And they're not at an airport that has a giant infield like we have. So they inflate and they launch. The first guy takes off, and the wing turns right because the wind came from the right. And he didn't have the experience. He had maybe 20 flights. He didn't have the experience to turn left. And to his right were power lines. And nothing happened. I mean, he made the right call. He was in a place that was safe. It was stable. But the call was created by this major series of events where he should have not been flying from a field that small in the first place. So the end of the story is the guy picks his legs up to clear the power lines. And I heard the story today and my heart's racing, and I'm like, just don't fly on days the winds are bad, right? Like don't choose to fly. We don't have to fly. We have to absolutely make the best, safest decision we possibly can, always, especially when you're in that position where you don't know what you don't know. And so when you get hyper confident because you either had great training or you had lots of experience, it's important that you temper yourself and you make a decision to fly safer because you're good. Not because you can, but because you're doing well, be more careful. All right. Treg 1014 says, how long is the backlog for waiting training space at your location? Right now, we just filled our summer classes. Up until about 5 months ago, we had a 3 to 5 year wait list. And we did a couple of things. We doubled our training staff, and we were able to change a lot of things about the way we teach. So Chris can talk more about that in the future. But we've done a lot to be able to shorten the time span that people are here. So instead of being here for 15 days, they could be here for 5 to 8. That's the goal. Starting in September, that's the mission. We want everyone to be here 5 to 8 days maximum, so you can take a long weekend and learn to fly. So we have classes available September 21st, October 12th, November 2nd, and November 23rd. And we have more classes going to be booked out next year. We're actually adding classes every month. We still haven't done that yet because we're still hiring more instructors. So to answer Fat Paramotor Guy, if you have more than 75 hours of paramotor experience and you have a deep passion for learning, a deep passion for sharing joy, for serving people, and you want to learn to be an instructor, we're hiring. So call us, email us. Chris at Aviator PPG is your main contact point. That's CHRIS. Chris is our school manager, and he can help you see if you're a good fit for our team, because we want to have 8 full-time instructors here really soon. There's a lot of opportunities there. So, David Nichols, when is the second tier comm helmet going to be available? It's available now. It's on the website. Check it out. It has Bluetooth and 2-meter communication. It's about $150 more than the Icaro, I think. So yes, it's still a premium product, but it is available right now. Excuse me as I die. There are more questions. Gosh, there's so many questions. I want to get into wings before this is over. Guys, you're awesome. Thank you so much for watching. I'm super stoked. And we've got Catherine here just to be on screen. Thanks, Kat.
I'm just sitting here, just chilling.
Chris Collins says, vouch, they're mega stocked up. Dude, wait till you see the new shipment of parts we have coming in. You're going to, your mind will be blown. AJ Goin is flying right now. Thanks for pre-flighting, buddy. Thanks for flying. AJ, this is one of the cool things I love about our school and about the sport in general. AJ was on the stream last week. This guy is a DRL racer for ESPN, like top level, like incredible drone pilot. He's the guy who flew between my lines during the video. Nothing like a 100-mile-an-hour drone going through your lines and not chopping anything up. He only hit the lines once. There's a reason why I was foot dragging. So AJ's super dope. Came to learn to fly last week or 2 weeks ago. He's actually going to be interning in the next class to become an instructor in the future. He got, Chris, you can help me on this, probably 75 to 100 flights at least. Easily. He was foot dragging, flying super well. Like, the guy is really talented, and he was able to join us for that. So he's going to be back for the next class to start interning to become an instructor, which is really exciting for me because his passion for this is so infectious. And his wife loved it too. She got to go on a tandem with my dad, and they got to fly together, and it's just like best experience ever. Not first off, we're 30 minutes in, but my wife's watching this stream. Hi, Nell. And if my kids are watching, hi, guys. August, Arthur, Eloise, I love you guys. Sorry I'm not home. I've been gone for 2 days. This is weird.
That sucks.
It's all part of it. Sheldon, welcome to the stream. Andre Berara, great to see you, my friend. Are you still in Portugal? Because I sent someone to you that wants to fly with you in Portugal last week, so hopefully he contacted you. Mark Rogers and Andre both have asked gas versus electric. All right. Tough question. We are working on our own electric paramotor. It's been in process for about 6 months. Our goal was to create motor thrust, 20-minute flight times, a off-the-shelf battery option so that people could buy the batteries at their Home Depot or Lowe's and be able to immediately be able to fly. So if you wanted to go and fly for 20 minutes, land, swap batteries, fly for 20 minutes more, it's not designed for everybody. A lot of pilots like Chris love to fly for an hour and a half, 2 hours, go explore someplace. But for a school, like for our school, having an electric is life-changing. You never have to worry about fuel. You never have to worry about tuning the carburetor or having a piston seizure or having the gearbox fail or having all the other things that have happened over the years with the paramotors. Electric is a huge possibility for us. And for my personal style of flying, I don't fly more than 12 minutes anymore. Maybe once a month I go for a cross country. But generally, I fly before students can fly or after they get done flying. And so for 12 to 15 minutes is all I need. I fly full power the entire time. I climb, I do barrel rolls, I climb, I do barrel rolls, I climb. I might do a sat. Actually, it's been a while because I'm a weenie. But it's super, super rare that I fly for more than 12 to 15 minutes. So for me, an electric's a great option. Our goal was the same weight as what you'd have with a couple gallons of fuel in a Moster. And our goal is to keep the price down so that it's an actual switch. Not to give away too much of the farm, but our plan with this electric is that it's a hot swap. It's 4 pens, 2 straps, and you go from gas-powered to electric-powered. That's it. Done. That's the whole thing. So you can go and you can have your gas motor to go, like, in my opinion, the Vitarazi Atom is the best engine ever built right now. It literally burns like 1.5 liters an hour, and it just goes forever. And so have that on one side, so you have this great little cross-country machine that can do a badass job of flying with no fuel. And then on the back side of it, you have your electric to go play around the airport. So 15 minutes to swap. You can go have electric for 6 days a week, and then your friends come in town and they want to do a cross country. You guys all want to go cross country together. So that's the plan with the electric. We have some really great partnerships with Parajet and Fly Products coming up on this project. So if it all comes together, if you're flying a Power to Fly, a Scout, any frame that has a Vitarazi bolt pattern, you should be able to hot swap in and out, which is super dope. Marcus Yana, our team doctor. Love you too, my friend. Glad you're here. Johnson Q, welcome, my friend. Audrey Curtis, how do you take someone up that is afraid of flying? Well, carefully. You don't do anything too crazy. I still have to take you for a flight. It will happen eventually when I stop working 90 to 100 hours a week. I promise that will happen. Matthew Peace asked, here is a wing question. Why are APCO wings typically $501,000 cheaper than their counterparts? Is it marketing or is the quality less? If you guys watched the Farewell to Air Conception video this last week, you'll know that I'll never speak negatively about anything. And if I accidentally do say something negative, it's not intentional to be negative against the brand. My experience with APCO has been that they have, Israeli engineering is incredible. I've never had an issue with any of their stuff. I don't prefer their design philosophy personally, but it's a budget option. I haven't flown all their wings. I think I've flown about 80% of their wings, and they're good. But all wings are good. Like you can buy a paraglider wing from all of them, honestly.
Really, really old ones.
Well, all modern paragliding wings are pretty dang good. I can't think of one that I wouldn't fly right now. Well, there are a couple that I wouldn't fly. I can't think of one certified wing by a major manufacturer that I wouldn't fly with confidence. So find somebody you trust, find someone whose design influence you like, and go from there. Let's talk more about wings. I'm going to bring Chris in. Kat, thanks for being here and being on stream.
Sure.
I just booped the microphone with my nose. That's awkward.
Booped right back.
All right. We have lots of questions now. Holy cow. Nina, you're awesome. Get in here, man. I know you hate live streams. By the way, for those of you guys who don't know, last week Chris was on the stream. I've never seen Chris be anything but level-headed and cool and calm. But I think you almost murdered me before and after the stream because I asked you to do it.
Most definitely. Yeah. I generally don't like being in front of cameras, and then you add the element of live.
But we're not really in front of cameras. We're in front of lights, and we're just talking to people. Like you're going to murder me again, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, everybody in the chat, welcome Chris. I thought he crushed it last week. If you guys watched the stream, let him know what you thought because he was... I don't know. I look up to you so much because of your experience, your ability with our students, especially with your level of experience flying. Like, you're one of the most natural instructors I've ever met. You're so passionate. It's
awesome.
Such a joy to watch you. And I thought you did an amazing job of kind of explaining what you do here and sharing your passion with the
Very good.
community. So thanks for being here again. Sorry to spring it on you.
That's okay.
If you want to throw that water bottle at me, you can.
Yeah.
Just not open because this is electrical.
Yeah.
All right, Juan Rosales asked some questions about training. We'll get into training first, then we'll get into wings and what wings we choose for which student. What are the maximum, minimum height, weight requirements? What are you looking for? And obviously, we can't tell a potential student that, hey, you're too fat because ADA would go all over us. But what we can do is we're always in a position where we're trying to encourage people to have the best experience possible. And if you come into the school and you're 150 pounds overweight, you smoke 3 packs a day, you're not going to have a great experience. And we want good experiences. So what are we looking for in a student? Maybe not even specifics about weight and height, but what are you looking for in their attitude? You know, we'll bring John in later if he'll let us, talking about like losing 50 pounds, learning to fly.
Yeah.
Tell us what's your ideal student look like?
Well, the ideal student is somebody that's you just of normal proportions, but that
Does he have to have hair?
Doesn't
or
have to be
no
athletic.
hair?
You know, it's more a sport, and all the pilots know it's a sport of finesse. It's not a sport of strength.
Right.
And you don't have to be a bodybuilder, and you don't have to be able to run a 10K. You just need to have the finesse to kite the wing, get yourself in the right position, obtain that posture, and add the power at the right moment and pressure, and you're airborne.
That sounded easy. It's not easy.
It's easy when you have the finesse,
Right.
And that's what the training's for.
So, one of the things I've always looked for when we're trying to choose a student, right? Like this, say we have 100 people on our wait list. We want to have 3 heavy students, 3 light students that we have the right gear for them.
Yep.
We want to have 3 older students, 3 younger students, so we can balance their energy levels.
Yes.
We want to have all of them enthused and passionate, And the hardest thing is we want them to be humble enough to listen. And I think I kind of want to talk about this last class because we had 6 students plus John and Catherine. We had 7 instructors, I guess, throughout this class.
Yeah. Quite a few. Yeah.
Which is great.
It was a great experience.
Thank you to all of you.
Yeah.
What was the average number of flights per student this last class? Do you know?
I'd say by the time they left, probably the average somewhere between 25 and 30.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we had Tim Shepard, who came down. So Tim's story is really cool. We'll tell more about this.
Yeah,
Tim learned to fly with a guy in Michigan, I think it was. Got 2 or 3 flights with this instructor. I don't remember offhand. Do you?
Something like that. He came here, I think, with a dozen flights.
So I saw him fly. We met him in August of last year. We went to Fly My PPG. They had kind of an impromptu fly-in. Mike Cotter was like, "Hey, if you're gonna fly, why don't you fly this safer wing?" And this guy Tim scared the pants off me. You know, just because he didn't have the experience and he was close to stalling the wing and back and forth. And bless him because he was humble enough to want to come and just brush up on his training. And in 2 days, he got. In one day, he got 25 more flights, 22 in one evening.
Yep.
Had 2 butt landings, and the rest were perfect.
Yep.
And then he went on a long cross country with you yesterday, which is super cool.
He was killing it by the time he left.
And that to me is like, that's a big part of what we do is, we have our full classes and we have all this other stuff, but being able to give intermediate and advanced training is a huge part of where we're going because we want to have every student who's ever trained here or trained somewhere else have the opportunity to go out and actually like advance your skills, like get your PPG-3, go learn how to thermal, go learn how to free fly, learn how to trike, learn how to tandem. Like, you and I've been talking about this a lot the last couple of weeks, so I'm really passionate about it.
No,
but
it was really good with Tim, and some of his comments throughout the training were really good because he was like, "Oh my goodness, I didn't know that you could add all these techniques." And he saw the effectiveness of them instantly. Just leaning back, he was like, "Holy cow, you can lean back." Makes it so much easier.
Well, and it's a big part of it. What we do with Aviator has always been, we break it down to fundamentals first. And you've done an even better job of that than I ever did because you're able to break it down to the core principles of each fundamental and able to show, like, when you lean back, what it does to the thrust line, how it changes how you feel, how it changes how you trust the thrust and the motor position.
Allows you to accelerate.
Exactly. You don't have to do the work yourself. You're not finishing up so tired after 25 flights. And so it was really, really cool stuff. I thought having Tim here was actually kind of illuminating for you and I because it gives us a bigger challenge for the future. Like, okay, we could do this more often. Mm-hmm. I don't want to teach one-offs often, but we can have more intermediate and advanced classes that really inspire people to do more. Bob Garber says you're not in front of strangers. You're part of the Aviator family.
Aww.
And it's the truth, so don't think you're in front of strangers. Let's see. I'm 6'9". Is that a problem if you want to fly a paramotor? You tell us, Chris.
Not at all.
Wouldn't you prefer every student be 6'9"?
Yes.
I
would say the only limiting in height would be just cage clearance. Once you get down to 5 feet and below,
it gets tougher.
You got a cage that's just getting closer and closer to the ground and starting to bang on the back of their cabs.
That's actually something I want to bring up. So when we visited Parajet and Fly Products, I had an opportunity to meet with Matteo Orazzi at Verazzi, and I got to meet with Gilo at Parajet and Rico at Fly. And one of the things I asked for, I said, can you please make us a 100-centimeter version of the Atom?
Yep.
I want a short prop, small cage, because people like Catherine don't need a 130. They don't need it, right? And not just small women, small men. We have trained a half a dozen guys under 5'3". Right? They don't need this giant cage that's basically dragging on the ground as they take off. Like, why not? So they said they're working on it. So that'd be really, really cool. Scud Surfer. Let's both answer this one. For beginners, do you recommend the beach as a good place for learning to control your wing, kiting, and first flights? And why or why not?
With the restriction that the winds are kiteable and not gusty. But the only drawback is...
Whoa!
Woo!
Here, let's fix that.
Yeah.
I think that worked. We'll see.
The only issue that I could see would be if you were to get drug, where you would get drug into.
Right.
Into the water, super dangerous. Into the dune and over, could be dangerous.
Right. The opposite side of that, to me, I completely agree with the dangers.
Yep.
The biggest danger to me is if you get trained to fly at the beach, where it's literally so easy, you could tie your wing to a rock and it will fly itself.
It's cheating.
Oh, it's cheating. There's a great video. I can't remember what paraglider brand made it, but guy flies in. He's like, lands, and gets out of his harness, motor off, leaves the motor and harness on the ground, sits in a lounge chair. The wing's still kiting. Has a drink, gets back in the motor and harness, and takes off and flies away. This is a few years ago. So it's really, really, really easy because the wind's so laminar. If you don't mess it up, you will succeed. And that's why a lot of people, there's a lot of brands out there and schools out there who teach only on the beach. And we used to do a beach day every class. We used to go to Tampa or Vero, and sadly they outlawed it in Tampa, which made it basically negated the issue. But it was a lot of fun because a student can get 50 flights, 100 flights in a day.
Yeah, fly all day long.
Yeah, you fly all day long. It's no effort. Like, it's a reverse, which is no issue, and then you turn around, add power, and you're gone. But I would encourage anybody who's considering a school that is on the beach to consider if they're going home to the beach or not. Because if you're going home to the beach and that's where you're going to fly,
more power to you.
Right.
Yeah.
But if
Makes
you're going
sense.
inland to no wind, I can't tell you how many students we've had to retrain because they have no idea how to launch.
Zero wind takeoffs separates the men from the boys.
It does.
It really does.
Or the women from the ladies, because
Yep.
Catherine's been rocking them.
Yep.
But I think that's a big challenge is you have to consider what your local conditions are before you make a decision where you're going to train. And like in our situation here, we train in low wind and high wind because we live in Florida and the weather's weird. We have like 350 flyable days a year. If your stones are big enough, you know.
Yep.
All right, Tommy Anderson asks, I have an Ozone Roadster 3, which your team has reviewed and supported. What is your advice about joining the tip steering into the brake for more dynamic turning, and control? Now, you've flown the Roadster 3.
Yep.
You flew the Spider 3 this morning.
Yes.
All right, so Spider 3, just to give you guys, again, this is the great thing about the podcast is we get to talk about stuff that we can't normally talk about. The Spider 3 is coming out at the end of July. We have a plan and a mission, and we're super excited. It's going to release at Oshkosh, I believe, so that's coming soon, which will be fantastic. Hi, Nina. Bye, Nina. And so the Spider 3 is the lightweight version of the Roadster 3.
Yep.
It's the successor to the Spider 1 because Ozone maths interestingly. What does the Spider 3 fly like? Does it have 2D tied in or no?
Not tied in, but
Okay.
absolutely wonderful. The first zero wind takeoff, first run, I was like, oh my goodness, it's right above me. It was like instantly there.
It's a huge difference from a standard wing.
Yeah.
What about compared to the Roadster 3?
I don't know if I noticed too much difference as far as it's nice and sensitive, but it's not too sensitive. It's very agile.
I haven't flown it yet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you beat me to the punch for
Yeah.
once.
Yeah.
I've been telling everybody that the Roadster 3 launches as easily as the Spider 1. The Spider 1 was designed off the Roadster 2, and the issue it had was, I'm going to do it for the camera's sake, so if you're running here, you're running forward, and the wing starts to come up, it gets about 30 to 40% of the way up, and it had a lag spot. There's other wings that are way worse. I don't want to cast stones, but it's common knowledge that the K2, a lot of the Charger, a couple
Just
other
get
wings,
stuck in the power
they
band.
get stuck in the power band. They come halfway up, and you have to like add more A and force them through it. But the Spider fixed that for the Roadster because the lightweight fabric, it just right overhead.
Instantly.
It still had a lag, but it wasn't not nearly what it was with the Roadster 2. And it was built in that way because they wanted to have more stability, so it holds itself in position. You have to force it through. The Spider just came up. The Roadster 3, they use lightweight fabric on the bottom. It doesn't have a lag. You run forward no wind, that wing's like overhead, which is super sick. And so I've been telling everybody, like, don't wait for the Spider 3. Like, the Spider 3 is going to be great, and I'm excited about it, especially for beginner, intermediate pilots who don't have the strength, because it is going to make it 30 or 40% less strenuous to pull the wing overhead. But I don't know. I'm a big fan of it. The Roadster 3, in my opinion, was such an incredible development on the Roadster 2. Have you flown a Roadster 2 yet?
Not yet, no. Just the 3.
Have you flown the Spider?
No.
You got to
No.
fly Fletch's Spider when he gets
Yeah.
back. All right.
Yeah.
So the Spider is kind of splashy in turns. And I added 2D, which is what he's asking about, where we pull tip steering in,
Sure.
so it drags the tip in, and we push out to get main brake. and it made a big difference. The Roadster 3 didn't require it because it digs and it turns more and it dives more, which is super nice. Can you tie in 2D? Absolutely. Ozone does not recommend it for any of that line of wings, any of the B-level wings, because it's not been certified that way. As the primary Ozone importer, it's my job to tell you guys that they don't recommend it. As a primary Ozone flyer, is it as safe? Maybe not. I don't know. That's totally up to your decision making, your instructor's decision making. I'm more than happy to put our students, when they have 20, 30, 40 flights, onto a 2D controlled wing to help educate them as they advance.
Yeah, and we did it this last class.
Exactly.
We were
AJ was flying 2D,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So tie it in, kite the heck out of it. Make sure you're not activating brakes or tip on the pulley. Just find a place where you feel comfortable. Mitch Briggs, 6'3", 215 pounds, 125 or 130 propeller. 125 if your cage is not big enough for the 130, and comfortable. You get about, I think it's 8 pounds thrust difference between those 5 centimeters.
Yep.
Totally awesome to have the extra thrust. I fly a tiny wing with a 125 prop just because why mess with it? It doesn't really matter. Our tandem flies a 140 prop on a 185.
Yep.
Does really well up to over 550 pounds total weight, no issue. Ian Craswell, as a new pilot, and this one's for you, will the Atom 80 be enough power for fun progression?
Good question. I would say, depending on your weight,
Yes.
it really depends on your weight. I weigh 175-ish, and I think that comfortably you could go up to 188, 190-ish, maybe.
200.
Well, so I'm leading to something.
Okay.
If you're flying a small, higher performance wing,
Right.
because then I think you could easily go up to 200, maybe just a little over it, if you're flying a Mojo or a B-rated wing that's of good size. So
I can respect that. So the reason why I addressed Chris with this question is, at the time you trained, we just got in fly products.
Yep.
And you bought our very first Atom 80 powered fly products.
Yep.
And at the time, I mean, we would have put you on a nitro, period. That would have been the motor. And you flew the nitro in class,
Yep.
and then you bought the Atom.
Yep.
Why did you choose the Atom?
Oh, it just it's like the smoothness of it. It's like a sewing machine on your back. It's still producing 120 some pounds of thrust. So I mean, even though it's 80 cc's and it's less than half the displacement, it's not half the power.
No, it's a lot of power. I mean, it runs 10,000 RPM-ish,
Yeah.
but it's quieter.
Quieter, smoother,
So smooth.
and it's light.
Yeah.
It's lightweight.
Yeah, especially with the new frames that
Yep.
they're working on. There's a lot of interesting things there. What has your fuel burn been on the Atom?
It's I haven't recorded it yet, but it's astonishing. I mean, I'll add fuel, go for a flight, and for a 20-30 minute flight, and I can hardly detect that I've burnt a half of a liter, or it's like, holy cow, it's like it's making fuel.
It's actually recreating dinosaurs and slowly fossilizing them into fuel. I like it. I've flown the Atom a lot lately. I find that I'm reaching for the Atom instead of my personal motor a lot of the time. For me, obviously I've had injuries, and so the weight really affects me a lot. But I've been reaching for the Atom because it's so much quieter.
Yep.
And while I love the thrust of my motor, it's really nice to go up and just rip around, especially if it's high wind and I know I'm going to just be hovering around on the Mojo. It's really kind of pleasant to throw it on my back. It pulls with one finger, and then I'm flying around, and it has none of the exhaust issues, none of the other issues that other motors have had. So I've been really happy with it. I think it's a really, really unique setup.
Very little vibration. It's just a smooth machine.
We've been putting students up to 220 pounds on the Atom.
Yes.
Not consistently. If the motor is already used and someone's 220 or less,
Yep. With
Atom
the
them up.
Mojo.
Yeah. And they do well.
Yep.
I mean,
it does very well.
You run further, you climb slower, but
and it
darn well works.
teaches them finesse.
Absolutely. Spencer Owen. Spencer, good to see you, my friend. Spencer came and trained. So was it your class or the one before you? With Grant?
Yes, that was my class.
It was your class. So Spencer, good to see you. Make sure you please clarify. Make sure you aren't activating brakes or tip on the pulley. So what my intention is there when you're shortening tip lines and brake lines, you want to kite it up to ensure that there's still a little bit of slack, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches of slack minimum. It really depends on your flying style and the hang points and everything else that you're flying, because some people like my dad flying the trike, needs 8 inches of slack before he activates, so his arms aren't hurting by reaching like this, right? Whereas with my hang points, I have about a 1/4 inch of slack. Once I come off the brakes, off the magnets, I have about a 1/4 inch before I'm doing a barrel roll, which is awesome.
Awesome. It's right there.
But it really depends on your personal flying style. Like when at my Sirocco that I fly for cross countries, I have almost 5 inches of slack because I want to be able to bring my arms down and still have control and just relax. So I'm not up here doing a big cross country. All right. I'm going to answer some more questions. Let's talk about. So Miles Gregory asks if you're talking about Ozone wings. How does the Sirocco 2 compare? I want to talk really quickly about the mindset behind how we choose wings for our students, what we recommend for everybody, what we recommend for each individual student as their skills improve, and what we each choose to fly.
Sure.
Right. So you're a lower time pilot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fairly high time pilot. We fly the same wing the majority of the time.
The Mojo.
Yeah. So let's talk about why, because there's, in my opinion, there's been it's a disservice. The paramotor community as a whole has offered a disservice to people because they've said that you want to buy a wing, you're going to fly for 5 years, right? The reality is we're all way too addicted.
Yep.
There are a few people who might fly their wing for 5 years. I fly 7 wings on a regular basis. But I'm like super addicted, so sorry. What you looking for? You want me to throw the water bottle? John's behind the camera. If I hit the camera with this, I'm really sorry, guys. So lots of wings are kind of a natural progression. It's like when I used to surf, I had 5 different surfboards that I use all the time because there's a certain wave for a certain surfboard. Like you gotta have everything. But there's always a standby. There's always a logical progression. So, excuse me. I want to talk about briefly. I'll talk about Ozone's design philosophy, what wings we always recommend, what wings we sometimes recommend, and what to look for in your second and third wing. I guess I'll talk about design philosophy first. Just like we left Air Conception and we parted ways. We've had 3 different glider brands that we've sold also as our primary brand. Ozone's the third. We've been with them for 3.5 years. Incredible company, great people. The people behind their brand have been so illuminating to work with. Dab is their lead designer. He is like crazy genius good. The thing I like about their wing design so much is that they put safety as their primary focus. A lot of other companies, including some that we worked with in the past, they put speed, performance. Right. They're more like, we want to win the competitions. I hate to break it to the entire world of paramotoring, but if you're worried about competitions in a butt fan, and that's your primary goal, unless your name is Alex Mateos, dude, like seriously, like Alex is an incredible pilot. He's an artist, but the reality is that nobody really cares in the world about butt fan competitions except for Alex and his wife and their incredible family. I'm not talking smack, sorry guys. So if you're worried about getting an extra 10 kilometers an hour and you're willing to risk your pilots' lives because of it, that's never going to be Ozone's stance. So Ozone creates their wings, even their top-level expert gliders, they created them with the idea of being able to make mistakes and still survive. That's one of the things I love. Like, you can trim all the way out on a free ride and pull big brakes, and it's not going to collapse on you and spin you into the ground. You trim all the way out on a comparable competition glider, and you go past 6 centimeters or whatever the trim range is, and you pull brakes, and that wing is gone. My previous favorite wing, they tested a variant with longer trim range to make it full reflex, and Pascal Valli, who's one of the best pilots in the world. This guy, first up, incredible pilot. Secondarily, great human. I don't remember anyone's name. I met Pascal for like 4 minutes at Beach Blast 7 years ago. And every time I've talked to him, he's like, Eric, remember Beach Blast? I'm like, you're such a good person.
That's awesome.
But he was flying this test wing, and the wing is collapsing all around him. And there's a video of it. I wish I could pull it up to show you guys. It terrified me because it was the wing I was flying. And I found out later it was a prototype, blah, blah, blah. But like their design philosophy was push the edge of the envelope as far as it could be pushed. And Ozone's always been, how do we keep our pilots alive so they buy another wing?
Yep.
right?
Built-in reliability.
Right. So from the beginner wings, which I've seen them do things and hold brakes to points where it should never stay flying.
Me too.
Yes, you have. To the intermediate wings where they offer a huge speed range, but you can still use brakes. To advanced and expert wings where they offer cross-country ability and efficiency. I love Ozone, not because of the design on the wing, but because the people behind who created it, because of what they believe in, which is first and foremost complete joy for every pilot, no matter how experienced. And secondarily, they really value those who push the envelope safely.
Yep.
So that was my design philosophy.
Gotcha.
Let's talk about when someone contacts Aviator, they contact you and they say, listen, I'm coming to training in June. What wing do you recommend and why? For the average guy, there's always two of them. One is the budget conscious guy who doesn't have that much money.
Yep.
And the other one is the guy who $3,000 doesn't make or break them. What do you recommend?
I think the Mojo just doesn't get enough credit for what it is. I think it's an incredible wing. It's incredibly forgiving. We use it with all of our first-time students. Once they get up around a dozen flights, if they'd like to try a B-rated wing, a Roadster, a Spider, if they're consistently nailing the landings and landing, accurately as well, then we'll transition them. But I think there's a stigma with Mojos that, that's a student wing.
With any
but
A-wing,
but it's not. I mean, it's such a wonderful. I watch you fly around and do some of the most incredible things with that wing.
It's still my favorite wing.
Yep. And I think it's a great wing as well.
The other day, you and I were flying, or you were on the golf cart, and I was flying, and I was landing on top of the golf cart. We're driving across the field. I was like,
Yep, that was awesome.
So much fun. So you generally recommend the Mojo.
Yep.
What if the student contacts you and says, budget's everything. I'm doing this through financing. I have to be very cheap. They haven't trained yet. They want to buy a wing to kite with before they come.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to recommend? Let's pigeonhole it a little bit further, because if they're 58 years old and 260 pounds, 5'10", it'll be a different answer than this guy. Let's say he's 35.
Mm-hmm.
He's 190, 5'10". What do you recommend and why?
I think I'd put it out there that he can really go either way. He could invest in a Mojo and enjoy it and keep it in his quiver. I mean, he can still fly it even 2 years later and still enjoy it.
Right.
If he's wants to take the step up to a Roadster, he's going to have a little quicker of a wing, a little more responsive. But I think it could go either way.
Well, my thing has always been two-parted. One, the number one reason why people want to upgrade is they get tired of being left behind by their friends.
Yep.
Right? So the Mojo's 23 to 28 miles per hour, right? That's maximum speed. The Roadster 3 might do 42 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're flying with guys like me on a free ride, you want that. If you tighten that screw, it'll work.
We've tried.
Oh, no.
I know. It's this one as well.
So if you're flying with someone on a Mojo and my free ride's doing 55 on speed bar, and it can become frustrating. But in my opinion, the best pilots, the pilots that I respect, are pilots who don't upgrade too quickly. And it's because if you fly a free ride, like I fly my free ride 16, I'm 190 pounds, flying a Maverick, 55 pounds plus fuel, plus flotation, plus reserve, plus everything else. I blink and I do a barrel roll. It's literally 2.5 inches of brake pull and I'm upside down. And if I do nothing more than pull 2.5 inches on one side with weight shift, it does a barrel roll, it exits on its own, no issue. If I do the exact same thing on a Mojo, I'm using 1.8 times the inside pressure on outside brake pressure to keep the wingtip from deflating, right? I have to work so hard.
You're honing your skills.
Yes, and you have to be excellent as a pilot on a beginner or intermediate wing. I learned this from Christina Curci and from Shane Denharder. These guys were very big mentors of mine early on. Shane's still way too cool for me to even talk to, but so is Chris. But they recommended to me, they said, buy a B-rated traditional paraglider wing to learn acro on. And so I did. And I flew about 260 hours on a wing that I had to work for every maneuver. Every maneuver was, if you didn't perfect how much outside brake, boom, 30% of the wing's gone. Yeah. And we've had past students and friends come back here after training. They flew 100 hours, and they upgraded to a C-rated wing or an underrated wing because somebody told them they could fly it. Mm-hmm. and they're coming back and doing wing overs, and they're just 30% of the wing gone. I'm like,
Wow.
dude, what? You're gonna die. And they're like, oh, this is just how I do it. It's like, you're doing it wrong.
Wow.
Like, if you're having deflations, it's a pilot error issue. And so you really can't go wrong with the beginner rated glider ever. You will still use it. I still use it thousands of flights later, all the time. I flew this morning, and I flew my free ride in Georgia, and it was blowing like 15, 18. And I chose the free ride because the only other option I had was a large mojo. And it was too windy to inflate it safely because I was surrounded by power lines and pecan trees. Sorry, I was in South Georgia, pecan trees. But there's so much value. And I love that you chose the mojo for yourself because the cost of another wing 6 months down the road so you can keep up with your friends but still have a safe wing in the stable isn't the end of the world for you.
Nope.
And quite frankly, compared to flying an airplane, this is like having a 172 and a Pitts and everything in between for $3,000 a piece. And it's kind of silly not to have all of them once your budget allows it, because especially when you realize that 172, that 152, whatever, makes you so much of a better pilot down the road.
Sure.
I'm glad we agree.
I totally agree.
We totally didn't plan this or
No.
talk about this in advance. All right. Let's jump back into stuff. That was a really long segue. We're an hour and 3 minutes into this. Brandon Lennart says, question for the pros. My takeoff... Well, thanks for thinking we're pros, I guess. My takeoff and flight are no problem, but on landing, I feel like I'm about to fall backwards and have bumped my frame a few times. Does this seem like a CG issue or harness adjustment issue? Black Hawk Talon 190, Velocity Core 28. All right, so I haven't flown. I don't know which frame you have. I've flown many of Black Hawk's frames. I haven't flown. I don't know if they have anything new in the last 5 years. I don't know unless I watched you. If you'd like to, send us an email.
Send a video.
Yeah, send a video to Chris or myself,
Yeah.
Chris at Aviator, Eric at Aviator. We're more than happy to answer questions and look at that kind of thing. It may not be a very long response because we get a lot of questions like this. Even if you aren't our customer, we still want to help. So feel free to send us an email with a video. My expectation, based upon my experience, would be two-parted. One, you're most likely your body position is wrong.
Yep.
So generally what I look for is 1 foot way back.
Way back.
So you want to have 1 foot behind your butt, literally 12 inches behind your butt, so that you can have that foot touch first. The second thing you want to do is you want to throw your shoulders forward in the harness right before you touch down. You want to take your body and you almost want to thrust yourself out of your shoulder straps. So your foot's back, your shoulders are forward. That allows you that posture that your foot touches.
Rotate.
And you rotate forward, exactly. So if you are in a position where your harness is too far back and you're leaning back like this, and you have this crazy lean angle, yes, get that adjusted. Talk to your instructor, or contact us. We'll help. We're always happy to serve you guys. But the big thing is always posture. People don't put their foot far enough back, and people almost always, especially if they don't have good training, they're pulling their feet up as they come into land all the time. They're like always just like.
The foot being back makes a big difference because it hits first, and you get that rotation.
It's a
forward.
pivotal point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially when you get more speed and you're coming in at like 50 and you like drag your foot first 200 yards and it feels really good. We're going to get you there really soon. You know that, right? All right. Fly Guy Idaho says he's launching a 23-meter Spider, which they don't make, so I want to know what size you're actually flying. 185 motor, 5,000 feet, total weight of 250 pounds. What trim setting would you recommend for a quicker takeoff? The Spider recommended trim setting is on the white line, red line for the Roadster 3. That's the neutral trim setting where it's not in reflex, it's not in slow mode. That gets the wing overhead quickly and just use more brake. Most likely you're on a 24 or 26 Spider. If it's a 23 projected, flat would be 26, I think.
Yeah, something like that. It's quite a bit bigger.
So
they do require more brake to get off the ground.
Especially because the Spider stock comes from the factory with about 12 inches extra brake line.
Yep.
So you're basically pulling way lower than you think you should.
You're getting down to nipple level.
Or
a little below.
Testicle level. It's way down.
Momentarily.
But you got to be careful about not stalling, especially at high of a density altitude. It becomes much more challenge. Bob Blithcrat says 6'0", 260 pounds, 61 years old. How many meters of rookie wing and how much thrust did I look for? Bob, it really depends. Foot launch or trike. I guess it doesn't depend that much. If you're using a Foxy trike that's 19.8 pounds.
Yep, that's not a big difference.
So either way, Mojo XL.
Yeah.
So 31 meters. If you're at a higher altitude, we're going to recommend something like a Magnum 38, something that's a little bit bigger, softer, spongier. If you have really bad knees and you want a foot launch, we're going to recommend that Magnum. Even though you're only 260 pounds, you'll be at the bottom of the weight range. We want to keep you safe and make you happy.
The Triox is fast.
The problem with Triox, though, is it's C-rated. So, like,
Yeah,
I
so
can't
it's
confidently
performance.
recommend it to an average beginner, even after they finish training. The Magnum's B. I've actually asked Ozone if they'd be willing to make us like a 36 Mojo. And they're like, why? I said, because Americans are big. We like
Yeah.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed logical to me. How about, Josh Bowden. Dude, Josh, we have to catch up. This month has been crazy. I am still appalled by all the flooding. Guys, if you don't know, Josh is with Paramotor, Nebraska, and right now their flying field's under like 6 feet of water.
Holy cow.
And their entire flying community has stepped up, and they've been flying all around Omaha trying to find survivors of the floods so they can target them for the helicopters to come pick people up. And it's been really crazy. So our hearts are with all you guys in Nebraska. Much love. What a crazy experience. But anyway, Josh, super awesome, dude. Well, how about dropping wing size versus stepping up to the next rating, 24 to 22 versus B to C? Hi, by the way. Hello to you. I'll let you answer it. Thoughts?
That's interesting. As long as the weight range, you're definitely gonna as you increase the loading of the wing loading, it's going to become a lot more dynamic. So you're going to pick up performance. But as long as you're still in the safe weight range, it's an idea.
It's an idea. My consideration, I'm going to go back in time to 6 years ago when I taught Tucker to fly. At the time, Tucker was like 130 pounds sopping wet or something ridiculously light. And so we bought what was a beginner wing from a company that I was selling for at the time. And I think it was 18 square meters. And I was flying an 18 square meter glider already, or 20 meter glider. And I flew this beginner 18 square meter glider. And it was the most scary thing I ever flew because I was overloaded on it. It was way more dynamic. It oscillated like crazy. It just
Picked up
wasn't well designed.
Crazy characteristics.
Right. It was based off the Muse 1, the Macro Muse 1, so it was a very old design. And by going that small, it was really not a safe wing. So size is a big deal, just as the classification of the wing is. The biggest thing you can do is pick up intermediate advanced training. Move yourself forward into the next level, not on your own. If you're buying a new glider, schedule 2 or 3 days of training, even if it's just 2 days. Come down, kite it, get some tips, work with an instructor. That's going to be the next level steps.
Oscillations and control. Yep.
And wing overs and stuff, like working with AJ on. Like trying to be precise instead of trying to guess is huge. All right. Scroll up just a little bit for me, Nina. All right. Will 1500 asks, can we source parts for EOS engines? Tough to find some of the more nitty-gritty stuff in the U.S. I'm going to take this one full on. I would love to source parts for you guys. We don't sell Polini. We don't sell EOS. We don't sell Fresh Breeze, Solo. Like, there's a ton of engines we don't sell. Sky. And it's not because we can't sell them. Minari. There's tons of brands that have contacted us that we'd be honored to work with. But you have to understand a really fundamental component of what we do at Aviator, and that's that we will never sell something just for a profit. We have to be able to support it. So, like, in that parts room right back there is 4 years of my salary in parts.
Extensive.
That we had to pay for up front in order to support our customers. So if we were to, say, start selling EOS engines, which I don't know those folks, they may be amazing people, we'd have to invest at least $100,000 in parts to be able to support the product, and we can't afford to do it. You know, we're in a position where, like, yes, we'd love to be everything to everybody. I mean, every business wants that. But we're never going to be that way. We're always going to be able to support the brands that we support. We support Vitarazi, we support Fly Products, we support Parajet completely, and Ozone, and the accessory brands. But we're never going to be able to come in and be like, listen, like, we support everybody. We have all the parts. Because the reality is when somebody sells a Vitarazi engine, they don't make any money to speak of. We don't make any money on the engines, but we want to work really, really hard to have a massive inventory so that when you call me and you're like, hey, my atom broke, which luckily it hasn't, we have every part you need. So we can't do that with every brand out there. We'd not only be broke, but we'd be doing a disservice to everybody in the industry. So hopefully somebody will import all the parts you need. I'm sorry. I wish we could serve you. I've been like talking a lot. My brain hurts. Let's talk about SIV instructors. Durbin and Kubat, two of my favorite people. Durbin because he has the most beautiful car in the entire world, and Kubat because he has the most beautiful hair in the entire world. Sorry, no. Who do I recommend for SIV instructors? My encouragement is always the same. Reach out to those who you respect. I respect Chris Croce. He's not doing it right now. I respect Steve at Cloud9 very much so. He doesn't do it either. But he can recommend someone. I can't remember the guy's name. Reach out to Steve at Steve Mayer at Cloud9. You can find them at info@cloud9.com, adventuretoystore.com. Talk to them. They can recommend someone for you. It's really tough, especially in the U.S., to find someone who's willing to do it on motor, because it's just not as safe. There's more snag points, that kind of thing. I spent 10 days in Utah trying to get an SIV class 6 years ago or 5 years ago, and it didn't happen. We have a plan to bring SIV instructors from Europe to the U.S. to teach here, but it's not going to happen tomorrow. As much as I wish it could, it's just not going to happen tomorrow. So lots of great people out there. Talk to Steve at Cloud9. He'll recommend someone for you. If you want a wing for it, call us. We'll serve you. I'd love to bring people in for it, but it's tough. We would have to have 20 pilots ready to go. There's a lot of SIV instructors that are kind of popping up, but I've seen some of them that are really sketchy. Like, they make really bad decisions, and students almost get hurt, and it freaks me the heck out. People are like, why don't you teach SIV? And I was like, because I don't need that kind of stress.
Yeah.
All right. Durbin asks, motorless. Start with motorless if you can. It's way safer. Motor SIV is a doable thing and totally safe. You're working with someone like Santa Croce, but totally safe is totally ambiguous. So
Yep. Sliding scale.
Very much so. Matthew Pesci, is it unsafe to be in the lower half of a recommended wing weight range E and A?
In the lower half? Not at all. You're not loading the wing as much. It makes you more susceptible to collapse, but you're still within the weight range. So,
Right.
So, not an issue.
So the way I've always looked at it is like, yes, you're more prone to a collapse, but it's much less benign, much more benign.
Yep.
If you have a 50% collapse and it just closes in,
It's not dynamic.
it's not dynamic, and it's designed to reopen with that 90-degree turn, 100-foot fall. Like,
Right.
with you doing nothing.
You may not even notice it
Right.
if you weren't looking up.
We generally load all of our students for their first 10 flights or so, 5 to 10 flights, on a glider that's at least one size too big, right?
At least one.
Right. So they're still in the weight range, but they are at the bottom of the weight range. In case they make a mistake, we want them to be like, that's why we have so many dadgum student wings.
Yep.
And our results are pretty good.
Very good.
Even
If they flare too high, they can. It's powder puff. They come down and they still stand, which is amazing.
Exactly. And that's really what our goal is. If they make the mistake of getting in the seat with both hands in the brakes, or they're pulling too hard and then releasing too fast, trying to create oscillations, it's not a heart-stopping moment for the instructor because it's so big. Will we rent wings for SIV? No, sorry. We'll sell you wings for SIV. Generally, SIV wings go in the water a lot, and it makes the rental cost really. I mean, if you want to rent one for like $700 a day for 3 days minimum, sure.
Rent to own.
Brian Pearson asks, "Is my mic on?" Says we're good. Let's see. How many shows for Paradigm this year? Scud Surfer. We're doing 3 shows right now. We're doing Son of Fun, Oshkosh, and a show in Lycoming County, Pennsylvania. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be we're at a hot air balloon festival. I hope you get to come.
I hope so too.
We would love to do more shows, and I will say this every podcast. We have an incredible opportunity both for the paramotor community as a whole and for any business that sees value in the aviation community. We have 35 million to 50 million eyeballs on us a year, plus nearly 1 million people who follow us on social media as our team, and we don't have a sponsor. And it's ridiculously expensive to move 20 people around the world for a show. So if you guys have a business or you have a friend with a business, I don't care if they're Adidas shoes, some water bottle company, or basically, like I've said to our marketing manager, anybody but Pornhub.
Yeah.
As long as my parents will approve, we'd be happy to have them as a sponsor as long as they're good people. So contact us. It's a great opportunity, and we're happy to give a 10% referral fee. Our minimum sponsorship is $50,000. That covers 1.5 shows at our cost, not counting what we lose by not being here. Let us help your brand, and we'll give you $5,000 for that one, or $50,000 if they do a $500,000 sponsorship. Let us help you. Help us help you. Do we ever rent small kiting practice wings? No, we currently don't rent any wings. We do demos of new wings. And if you are in a position where you'd like to learn something, you have a wing, you're already flying, we'd be happy to get you your next wing. We don't rent gliders right now. It's a business model we've looked into, but we find it to be more valuable because if you rent the wing, quite frankly, you don't get enough time with it. And we want you to be able to spend that time. You need 60, 80, 100 hours kiting. AJ had, do you remember how many hours he had kiting before he came to Salon?
Quite a bit. I don't know the number, but...
I think he said 6 hours.
Really?
That was it.
Yeah, he came in kiting like a pro.
Day one, he's on his back.
Laying on his back. He was almost to the point where he probably could have kicked his legs up around the brake lines and on his back. And
there's a reason why we called him freaking Golden Boy.
Yeah.
All right, we are an hour and 17 minutes in. Heath Burrison says, it's been a week since I've had a new wing, and I would like to know what would be the best cross-country wing for efficiency and stability. Heath is one of our favorite people in the entire world. He's the guy who buys us all those olives. He has the olive farm in California. Mm-hmm. By the way, when Kate started work and she was cleaning out my office and she found the 400 pallets of olives, she was very confused and thought I had a fetish. I don't. I just have a Heath.
Yeah.
Best, most efficient cross-country wing. What's your pick?
I would go with the Roadster. I mean, it's most efficient.
Most efficient, I'd say Sirocco. Like a large size Sirocco.
Yeah, I guess so. It's quickest.
You can do free ride, but it's more efficient, but it's going to oscillate too much.
Yeah.
The Sirocco is so stable. You haven't flown one yet, have you?
Mm-mm.
We'll have to fix that.
Yeah.
I just sold the one you'd be flying too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sirocco. Sirocco in the size that's right, where you're middle or lower into the weight range, is going to be the most efficient and stable, I think. I love the free ride, but the thing's trying to kill you the whole time. Anytime you're flying an uncertified wing, it's just like you can't trust that it's not trying to kill you. It's a very different game, and the Sirocco's ENC rated. Well, the Speedster is, so same difference. Let's see. In light wind, is it really that important to only foot drag while going into the wind? I'm flying a Mojo Power and wondering if I will have time to flare in the event of an engine out. I'll let you handle this.
Depends on the magnitude of the light wind.
Yes.
I would say that if it's, a 1 or 2 mile an hour wind, then it makes really no difference because it's something you could land, flare, and run off. But beyond that, I think you're putting yourself at risk, quite a bit of risk.
Absolutely. So one of our cameras just died. It was the GoPro. It was that wide angle that didn't look very good. The reality is that Travis leaving the company changes things a little bit because he owned one of the cameras that we used for the live streams. Now we have to buy another camera. We haven't done that yet, so we're working on it. We want to have a 3 or 4 camera system. We want to have at least 2 more mics, but we need some ideas from the audience. We need people to tell us who they want to have as guests because we're only going to have in-house guests. We're not going to do this through like Google Hangouts or whatever. We want to have like good quality, get people involved. I think it'll be fun. But there's a very serious question from Lucian Sims, one of my favorite Australians in the entire world.
Yep.
It's not saying much. I love Australians, just not Lucian. Because he has never brought Maggie, his girlfriend, who's I just called her Maggie. Her name's Molly. She might murder me now.
Yep. Not want him to bring her.
Lucian and Molly are incredible. They learned to fly at Paracosta. I have a giant man crush on this dude, and also watch guy.
Me as well.
Yeah, you know him. That's right. So he asks what martial arts you might know.
Wow. Unskilled in the martial art department.
I felt like it was a pretty solid question.
Yeah,
it seemed like something you might know.
Would think. Yeah, no. Firearm.
How was your life as Captain Picard?
It's shocking when I see photographs of this guy or see, these memes. It's like the angle of the head. It's like, wow, that looks really like me.
It's really kind of scary.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah. So for those of you guys who are big Star Trek fanatics and you'd like to get an autograph, he'll be working on his Picard autograph in the future. It'll be fantastic. ITB Piper. I have not flown the Piper. I heard about it last week. I had a client here from Canada who was interested in a new glider, and he asked about it. And I've never seen it aside from their website. I would love to have an opportunity to fly it. I love flying every wing, even wings we don't sell, because it makes my heart happy. And Johnson Q says it's Molly and it's luscious. So
Nice.
This is good. All right, what else do we have? We're going to call this an end in about 8 minutes. Kyle O is a guest. I need to meet Kyle O. He needs to bring me drugs. That sounds bad. I just want Tylenol. Everything's fine. He's a pharmacist.
I caught it.
Woody needs to be here. PK Aviator. Oh, my Lord. We can't have that level of debauchery. But I'd love to have Woody on the show. Let's see. PPG Bob Father, I'd love to have you. Love to have Fat Paramotor Guy. Love to get Tom Kubat in here.
Yep.
Lots of good opportunities. How about some student highlights? Bring in some students who either had major challenges that they overcame or model students who seemed born to fly. Might be nice to hear feedback from newbies, too.
Great suggestion.
We've done it.
Yeah, yeah.
The last one was in September of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that's been a big challenge, we have this incredible team now, including John, who's behind the operating stand right now holding a camera on his face. Can they see you? That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
That makes my heart really happy. There's Nina, his bride. Nina is my right and left hand. She basically chopped off my arms and told me I can't do anything without her permission, which I totally respect. And John is in charge of our marketing department. But one of the challenges was he was initially hired with the expectation of being able to do a ton of video stuff for us and do this live stream. And he has been able to deliver so much in the 2 months he's been here, including learning to fly. But we've also had to make a new website, start building an app, developing a newsletter, hiring graphic designers.
Yep, he's awesome.
He's doing so much that we have not been able to create the content we really want to create. So eventually, I think we're going to have all that content, and we're going to have basically an episode every class would be ideal. But it's not going to happen tomorrow, sadly. There's just too much to do as we're trying to systemize it. Oh, and by the way, we have a whole new web store, which he's been instrumental in with Alex. So it's been a lot. All right, let's see. Larry from Para Orange. Yes, sir, we'll be there at Sun and Fun, my friend. Separate tour video of Aviator. That would be a great idea. We should do a tour.
I like that.
Any other major questions? I should bring Alex in to talk about maintenance, but we have like 6 minutes, so we should probably do that next one. All right, this is something I'm excited about. I know you are too. We have a 100% close rate, which is really high. We've had one client use it so far in the last 3 days. We finally, and we've teased this since January 1st, it's been something that's been worked on for 4 years. We have in-house financing. So if you call in, soon it'll be on the website, but if you call in, talk to Mary or Angelina, and you ask about in-house financing, if you have A or B credit and you have decent income, and you want to do something epic, learn to fly instead of buying a Camaro or a dirt bike.
Harley Davidson.
Right. We can now service that. So we have competitive rates. It still seems way too high to me, but we're working on that. And you can freaking get a paramotor tomorrow and your training and everything else all at once. You can buy 10 paramotors if you want to, as long as your credit's good. And it's in-house financing. It's delivered through Aviator. It's not from some random bank that you have to like get them to send you the money and you send the money to us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's done straight through. And so this has been so long coming, and thousands of pages of paperwork and emails. And the fact that we finally have it together to the point where like AJ or Tony can go in and in 1 hour.
Yep, and it was pretty painless, right?
Right, it was done fast, done very fast. So that's our goal. That's our goal. That's what we've finally been able to do. And so basically the whole mission with it was, I have a lot of friends in the military because I wanted to go in the military, so a lot of my friends did. And every single one of them, it seemed like, they all bought Camaros.
Yep.
Or Hayabusas.
Yep.
And they're paying 26, 27% interest, all these variable rate loans. And I was like, listen, 0 down, 6 months same as cash, 3% origination fee. Buy your paramotor, pay it off in 6 months, or pay it off in 5 years, doesn't matter. You're going to save a lot of money paying it off in 6 months. Or get, I think it's 13.9% if you do a 5-year loan, where you're spending some serious capital on the interest. I'm not a big fan of debt, but if you're going to go into debt to do something fun, let it be flying.
Yeah, let it
Don't,
be.
yeah.
Let it be life changing.
Don't let it be something that you go and get yourself freaking run off the road by a semi-truck 4 times in one day.
Or
Deals
that
Gap.
sits in your garage.
Exactly. So we're super passionate about it. Is it perfect? No. The rates are not as low as I was hoping. I was really hoping for 12 months save as cash. That was my mission. Like that's what we worked on for so long. And I think that once we get the first few hundred people in the pipeline that show the paramotor people are not the people who are paying for dental grills, and they show the banks that there actually is value in the brand and in the mission, I think we're gonna have an opportunity to do more. So hopefully in the future we'll have that 12 months same as cash. So guys like you and I can go in and say, listen, it makes sense. Like let's pay 3%.
Sure.
And have 12 months same as cash. So, but for a lot of our students already, we're seeing that like rather than putting it on a credit card, they'd much rather do it this way because it's much more manageable.
Yeah.
Which has been neat. So I'm like 90% excited, 10% almost disappointed, but really thrilled. There's a lot of people who are excited about it because we've been.
It opens the door for so many people.
Yeah, and we worked with SoFi, we worked with Wells Fargo, we worked with SunTrust, all these different companies. That at the end of the day, they're just doing a signature loan. So the rates were astronomical, 22%.
Unsecured.
For our competitors that have financing in-house through Wells Fargo and a few other brands, the rates are outrageous. They're astronomical. So hopefully this is a pretty solid foundation for some folks that they can see the value, and we get to share the sky with more people because that's really what our mission is. So someone asked if we could talk more about the Fly Products Lite. Also, can the Foxy truck be used with other frames other than Fly Products? Right now, no. The Fly Products Foxy is only for Fly Products. Can we talk about the Lite frame?
I'm excited about it.
I'm excited about it. We can't talk too much. We have...
Next week?
Yeah, so today's the 26th. We have 8 days so we can talk about it. I'm going to tease a few things because it's worth it. Nina is shaking her head so hard behind the camera right now. I think she might actually murder me. There's a lot of murder in this show.
Yeah.
So it's designed to be the lightest unit of its kind. It's going to be really astronomical in the way that they're balancing the efficiency and the weight. I'm excited about it. I really am. It should be here Monday of next week. Son of Fun's Tuesday. We expect to have it in Flying Magazine, Kit Planes, whoever wants to release it. We'll share all the details there. Let me put it this way. With the Atom, it's only 8 pounds lighter than the Maverick. I'm letting that sink in for a minute.
Yep.
Not quite 8, like 7.4. So this is a stupid light unit.
Yep. That's going to be retarded light.
That's a bad word. But it is definitely it's going to be a huge deal in the industry. I think that you guys are going to be really exceptionally impressed by the fact that they're able to keep some creature comforts. The harness is never going to be as comfortable as the Standard Fly or the Standard Parajet, but it is really light, it's really strong, and it has a lot of potential. So at this weight, you're looking at a Vitarazi Moster that's the same weight or less weight than the current Atom on the Maverick.
Yeah.
So it's a huge shift. I mean, even your Maverick on the Fly, like the one behind us right now.
Yeah.
You have an Atom on the Fly, and it's what, 46 pounds empty?
About that, 46, 47.
The Maverick, the Moster should be lighter than that. So we have a lot to look forward to. We don't have the final production model out there yet. We know what the pre-production weights were. We flew them. We were very impressed by them. I still love my Maverick. It fits my booty because I don't have
Your
one.
Slenderness.
So it fits me well. I really enjoy the harness, but I'm leaning more and more towards this new motor called the. I'm just kidding. Can't tell you guys anything else. But it's coming really soon. I'm so excited. We didn't have NDAs. I'd be telling you all this stuff. There are some really exciting developments coming with that. We talked some about electric. The electric's coming. I want to talk about fuel injection. I can't tell you too much. Again, NDAs coming out the crazy parts. But we're flying fuel-injected paramotors right now, and we have been for 4 months extremely successfully with very few squawks. And there's potential to have that come out as well this summer. So there's a lot of stuff that we're working on in the back end that we're spending way too much time and money on. But I think it's worth it for the industry, and we really hope that you guys will come along with us. So, Corey, good to see you. Always good to have all these guys, folks here. Brian, good to see you as well. Jim Furman, can't wait to see you in that beautiful pink and orange shirts. We got William DeGrita from Bermuda. Very nice. Good to see you. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Joel Cannon, always a pleasure, my friend. Bring me a cocktail. Chris, thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having me.
It wasn't as bad the second time.
No, it
right?
wasn't as bad.
I sprung it out on the entire last second.
Yeah.
So, John, Nina behind the camera, and Alex, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to have you guys.
Yep, you guys are awesome.
So much more to share, and we will share more with you on the very near future. Have a great night. It's been almost exactly on time. So long.
Thanks.